Hello, and welcome back to Under the Moonlight. I'm Penelope Willis, and I'm really glad you're here. If there's nowhere else you need to be just now, and you'd like a calming chat, come and sit with me for a few moments, and it's so lovely to be with you. So this time, I'd like to talk about something very simple but incredibly powerful: the power of a calm adult. Because when we spend time with children, it quickly becomes clear that big feelings are simply a part of childhood. Frustration, excitement, disappointment, and tiredness. All of these emotions can sometimes arrive very suddenly. And the thing is that young children don't yet have the tools to calm themselves when those feelings feel overwhelming. So instead, they borrow calm from the adults around them. They borrow it from us. And I think that when we understand that, it can shift the way we see those emotional moments. So instead of thinking, why is this happening? We begin to think, what do they need from me right now? And very often, what they need most is calm. And there's a very important reason for that. Because when children feel calm and safe, their whole system settles. And it's only from that place of safety that children can truly explore, learn, and grow. When a child feels overwhelmed or unsure, their mind is busy trying to cope with those big feelings. But when they feel safe in the presence of a calm adult, something opens up again. Curiosity returns, confidence returns, and learning can begin. And I see this so often with very young children. When a child is feeling unsettled or overwhelmed, they're unable to focus on exploring or learning new things. Their energy is going into trying to manage those big feelings. But when they feel calm and safe and supported by the adults around them, you begin to see them relax again. They start to look around, they begin to explore, they engage, and that's when learning really begins. And of course, that isn't always easy because we're human too. And there are moments in the day when we're tired and when we're pressed for time. When dinner is cooking, the phone rings, someone knocks at the door, and suddenly everything seems to need our attention all at once. And in those moments, it's easy for our own stress to rise as well. But when we can stay steady, even just a little bit steady, something interesting happens. Children begin to settle too. So today, I thought we could spend a few quiet moments together exploring some gentle ways we can lend children our calm when their emotions feel big. And it's nothing complicated and nothing perfect, just a few small things that we could try. And often it begins with something very simple. Children are incredibly sensitive to the emotional atmosphere around them. They notice our tone, our movements, and even the pace of our words. So when we slow ourselves down, something shifts. Our voice softens, our body language becomes calmer, and our responses become steadier. And children can feel that. Have you ever noticed that when adults become louder and faster, children often become louder and faster too? But when an adult becomes calmer, the whole moment often begins to settle. Sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do is simply to pause, take a breath, and remind ourselves that this moment will pass. Another small thing that can make a surprising difference is the way we use our voice. It's very natural for adults to raise their voice when we feel stressed or overwhelmed. But children don't experience raised voices as guidance. They experience them as alarm signals. And when children feel alarmed, their nervous system moves into protection mode, which actually makes it harder for them to listen and regulate. So something very simple can help here: speaking more quietly. When an adult lowers their voice, children often lean in, and the moment becomes calmer rather than more intense. Something else that often helps is the way we position ourselves physically. So instead of speaking from above, I always think it can really help to come down to a child's level. Kneel beside them, sit next to them, and be alongside them. When adults speak from above, children can sometimes feel overwhelmed. But when we come alongside them, the whole dynamic changes. It feels less like a command and more like support. And that sense of connection helps children feel safe enough to settle again. Another gentle thing we can do is simply to name what we think the child may be feeling. Not in a dramatic way, just simple reflections such as, "That was disappointing, wasn't it?" Or "You really wanted to keep playing." Or "It's hard when things change." When children hear their feelings reflected back to them, something important happens. They feel understood. And when children feel understood, their bodies often begin to calm. It doesn't make the feeling disappear instantly, but it does tell the child that someone sees them, and that really matters. Something else I've noticed over many years around young children is this: connection often works better than correction. When a child is overwhelmed, their brain simply isn't ready to absorb explanations or instructions. But once they feel calmer and connected again, they are so much more open to learning. So sometimes the most helpful thing that we can do in the moment is simply to stay close. Sit beside them, offer reassurance, and be present. And then when calm returns, the moment naturally moves forward. And finally, it helps to remember something very reassuring. Feelings pass, even very big feelings. Young children often experience emotions in intense bursts, but those bursts become shorter when they are supported by calm adults. So when we stay steady, when we remain present, when we don't rush the moment or react strongly ourselves, children begin to settle, and our calm becomes their anchor. And there's something else that can help us to hold those moments with a little more patience. Sometimes it helps to remember that children simply haven't been on the planet as long as we have. They're still learning how the world works, how relationships work, and how feelings work. And when we look at it that way, those emotional moments make much more sense. Children aren't trying to make life difficult. They're doing the very best they can with the tools they have so far. And one more small thought before we finish. Once the moment has passed, it's often best not to dwell on it. When children are very young, they don't usually benefit from long conversations afterwards, analysing what just happened. What helps most is calm support during the feeling, and then moving forward once calm has returned. We might invite them into something new to do. Offer a toy, start a game, or open a book, almost like pressing a quiet reset button. If you've spent time around children, you'll probably recognise how quickly they move on once the storm has passed. One moment the feeling is enormous, and a few moments later they're happily absorbed in something else entirely. And that ability to reset is actually a very healthy sign that their nervous system has settled again. And so we support the feeling while it's happening, and then we gently continue the day. So if there's one thought I'd love you to take away from today's episode, it's this: young children don't yet have all the tools they need to calm themselves when feelings feel overwhelming. And so until they do, they borrow calm from us. And sometimes that calm is the greatest gift we can offer them. I hope this resonated with you. And if it did, you can find further calming resources and gentle support on my website, booksbypenelopewillis.co.uk. Thank you for being here and for spending this little pocket of time with me. And until next time, Take good care of yourself and of the little ones who are learning from the calm you share with them. And I'll see you again soon under the moonlight.